What's up? This is your host Non-Fungible TC, Non-Fungible today and Non-Fungible tomorrow. And yesterday I did say that based on the on-chain data, I believe that the Bitcoin was actually going into the exchanges, right? And one of the things that I alerted in yesterday's stream was that maybe someone moved the price up in order to sell, right? So we just look at a 1 hour time frame, and yesterday it took 3 hours time frame in order to jack up the price of Bitcoin, right? And then within 1 day, it took 2 or maybe another 3 long candles that brought Bitcoin all the way back to 29,000. Okay, so basically we do see a sea of red today, and the whole reason for that is because there was a huge dump of Bitcoin earlier this morning. And the reason for this is that there is some renewed interest in the idea that US is going to regulate crypto. And there is a article that just came out a few days ago. It's just taking attention just today and this morning about the US trying to pass a bill about crypto. So in the morning when you guys are sleeping in the US, Bitcoin was actually hovering sideways, and the reason for that is that if you look at the traditional market, if you look at CNBC, let's have a look at 5 things to know. So basically Wall Street set to open lower, so basically it means that we're gonna have a very not positive market as to start, right? So basically Yellen to kick off 2 days of Capitol Hill testimony on inflation, so there would be some SEC or something talk about inflation, so that would create a very rocky market today. And Senator to introduce a bipartisan bill to regulate crypto. And this is the whole reason why we have such a huge dump, right? People are thinking that, oh, US is gonna regulate crypto, everything is doom and gloom, and I'm gonna be with you today to give you different perspective. So without further ado, let's look at the market. I think the market today was kind of if you look at Asia, right? Some market were up, some were down. EU always down. Basically, European stock pullback as inflation nerves grips market. So today is definitely gonna be a down market. It's not gonna be positive in today's market, right? But if we see crypto, we see how volatile crypto could be, right? So even though crypto is gonna be sideways, I do think it will be like a downward sideways today. Because the market is kind of shaky until we have new news, or maybe the Feds come out and say that inflation isn't as worse as expected, right? Pre-market or negative, so we basically can see within like 23 minutes when the US market opens, there's a huge chance that this is gonna continue downwards, right? So for those of you who missed this dollar cost average opportunity, right, you always miss these pumps, right? Look at this market. To a certain extent, I think this is actually a very great market to trade in, right? If you're able to account into these volatility, you buy here, you start dollar cost averaging here, it pumps, you sell, and then you time it correctly, you can actually make money in this sideways market. So let's look at the crypto market. We're back at 1.22 trillion. Now it's 1.21 trillion, right? So it's a 5.93% decrease in the last day. If you look at all the tokens, double-digit losses for some of the altcoins, and but mainly for Luna and Luna Classic, Solana, ADA, is a 1-digit loss. So ADA, Matic is at a minus 8.8, right? So it seems like some tokens are doing quite well. For example, ADA, because there's a hard fork coming up, but some tokens aren't doing that well. Today's article, before I go to today's article, I want to talk about on-chain data, right? And I found out a very interesting metric, and that is if you look at Bitcoin, right? This is the Bitcoin on-chain data. Yesterday, I was actually talking about exchange net inflow, right? And the reason why we have to watch this is that it really gives us some perspective. Look at this. Bitcoin has a huge dump, okay? But at the same time, a lot of Bitcoin has left all the exchanges. And this is a huge candle, guys. This is not a normal candle, okay? So basically, within this day, a lot of people have been buying Bitcoin cheap and moving them out of the exchanges. So what does that mean, right? Why are people buying it right now, right? And a few days ago, I was actually talking about, the whales are moving some Bitcoin. This was the part where we anticipate a huge pump, right? Some people started moving more Bitcoin to exchanges, and then some people started, removing some, and then people adding more Bitcoin to the exchanges. We see the huge pump, and then immediately people removes the Bitcoin from the exchanges, right? So every day, if we track these on-chain data, it basically explains to us the market is not as worse as we think. There is some sort of movement or manipulation or whatever, right? Basically, we do see that if we look at on-chain data, it really does tell us about how the money is being played, right? There's 3 red candles. These red candles means that there are a negative inflow of Bitcoin to exchanges, right? So basically, it means that people are moving Bitcoin out of the exchanges, and then people are moving back in. The price pump, we saw the pump yesterday, and then boom, it jumps, right? And then immediately a bunch of people. So basically, the smart money, what they're doing is that they are moving Bitcoin to the exchanges when it's high, and then they sell it, right? And at the same time, it's escalated by the news today of the US regulation. Boom, dumped the whole market. And then all these smart money are starting to buy Bitcoin again and then moving them out of exchanges. So this is Bitcoin, right? Let us look at Ethereum. So this is 7 days for Ethereum. Boom, at the same time, same concept. Guys, I don't know why we're not tracking crypto quant. Well, it's moving Ethereum in the market, sell it when Ethereum is high, boom, Ethereum dumps further, buy more Ethereum, move them out of the exchanges. And then when there's less like Ethereum, when there's less Bitcoin in the exchanges, it basically means there's a less selling pressure, right? So the chances of the price of going up could be higher, right? So all you have to do is just go to CryptoQuant and check every day to look at the net inflow and outflow to kind of have a guess, right? To kind of understand what is happening and why is there so many FUD and things like that happening, right? If you look at CryptoQuant, and also this is the page that I really like reading as well. It shows the net exchange net flow total for stable coins. So all of the stable coins in the market. If you look at 1 week, right? A while back we have a lot of stable coin gone. And then recently, there's a lot of stablecoin entering into the exchanges. And the reason why we have stablecoin entering the exchanges is basically because people want to buy crypto, right? That's the whole point, right? If you look at 1 month, right, we do see stablecoins leaving the market. But then in these dumps, money is going back in, right? Saw this, you see this, May the 12th, okay? Let us go back to May the 12th. What happened, okay? May the 12th. Let's see. Yeah, you see this? You see this? This was a huge dump. Remember what happened? The lunar crash, right? May the 12th was the lunar crash. Once the lunar crash happened, what happened, right? A lot of stablecoins went to the exchanges, right? So it could either explain that people sold the crypto and then became stablecoins, or at the same time, it could also mean that the next day stablecoin left the market, right? And then you start having the sideways moving, and then there's in and out. And the reason for this is because people are still buying crypto. The spot money is still buying crypto. And if you look at on-chain data, you'll see all of this, right? So DeFi still haven't recovered. We're still at the negative. We haven't recovered from the lunar crash. If your money is in DeFi and you're not trading frequently, right? It could mean that you are making some losses in a shorter time period, because basically your money has other chances of making other money, right? But you're not actively trading, so that's why you might be losing money if your money is in DeFi. But as we can see, this huge dump is based on the lunar dump, right? It shows that the market hasn't really recovered in terms of DeFi. And also, so basically I talked about on-chain data. I talked about, crypto market cap. We're all still trading sideways. We haven't broken the 1.3 trillion. We tried breaking the 1.3 trillion crypto market cap, but then it pushes us back. So tracking the crypto total market cap is also very helpful as well, right? So it kind of gives us an idea. So let's talk about this news, okay? Let's move on to this news, okay? I really want to share with you this news and also other opinion, okay? So, but before that, let me talk about NFT. NFT in general, the market is down, so that's why I think the crypto market is down, and therefore the NFT market, Ethereum, the last 24 hours is down 4%, but Solana is back at 13.84%. So basically, it means that money is coming back to the Solana chain, even though it kind of crashed a bit. So maybe there are some new projects minting there. We look at DApp Wader. Yesterday, we saw that Magic Eden has a lower trading volume than OpenSea, but now in the last 24 hours, let us have a look. But in general, the market is, the sentiment is not good, right, for NFTs as well, right? We do see the blue chip index going down. We do see that there isn't, people are cool, right? People aren't really trading that active. Market volume has gone down in the last 24 hours, especially for the market cap as well. So this is still loading. So this is, okay. So Magic Eden, OpenSea. So we have negative 7.25% from OpenSea. So basically mean, people are trading less on OpenSea in the last 24 hours on the Ethereum chain, but more in the Solana chain. Okay, so this is, the user, right? But in terms of the volume, basically OpenSea still has a higher volume because it has different chains, right, compared to Solana. which is App Magic Eden. So that's the NFT overview market. I want to talk about this news. So interestingly, this news was updated in June the 3rd. It wasn't posted yesterday. So what I think is that some people do know that this is coming, and that's why we saw a huge pump yesterday, right? It's not a conspiracy theory, but I mean that's a reason that's a way you could trap a lot of people, right? People see the huge pump, FOMO in, Bitcoin hit 30,000, boom, FOMO in, huge dump, right? So this is actually not new. This is a news that was posted in June 3rd. So according to Barron's, crypto's Wild West days may be coming to an end with the new bipartisan Senate bill, right? So the biggest takeaway about this, so for those of you who are interested in doing your own research, I have this link in the description below. What you can do is that you can click on this. There's actually a draft of the bill. If you click on this, basically this is the draft of the bill. If you want to read through the whole thing, you could be my guest, do that, 67 pages. But this is embargo according to people. Oh, this is leaked, but this is actually a in a public domain because it's on Wall Street Journal public resources, right? So basically, what happened is that there's a chance that the U.S. is gonna pass a bill, okay? And the bill is related to cryptocurrencies, right? So according to this article, some of the highlights is that excluding up to 100 income from capital gains tax and cryptocurrencies used to buy goods or services, right? The earlier draft has previously set the limit at $600. So what it means is that the bill is gonna give you like a tax write-off, right? Excluding $100 in tax income if you use it to buy goods and services. So it means that in the long term, the government is bullish about cryptocurrency, right? It wants to encourage people to use, but $100 in income is actually quite a low for income tax exemption, right? Another interesting thing is creating a process for companies to register as a digital asset exchange. So any companies that do trading and whatever, like the swaps and stuff like that, every entity, what they say is that they would want them to register as a digital exchange. So I'm going to tell you more about different threads later, but I just want to go through this quickly. So, and also what they're going to do is that more regulation is coming, establishing an advisory committee on financial innovation that includes members from the SEC, CFTC, Federal Reserve Board, the fintech industry, and blah, 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 blah. The committee will study various aspects of crypto industry and make regulatory and legislative recommendations to the White House and Congress. So it means that the SEC and this advisory committee in the future is going to have a lot of power because they're going to do research. They're going to look at, oh, this Luna crash, how can we prevent this algorithmic stablecoin crash? They're going to have power to make recommendations to the White House and Congress. So it means that what we can see is that there is going to be more regulation, right? There is people actively looking at these and then giving recommendations to the White House and Congress if you are in the US, right? And then requires studies on energy use in digital asset markets and DeFi protocol and new standards on the use of China's CBDC, right? So this is more political. So I think the interesting thing that we have to take away is that with less than 6 months until the midterms elections in November, it is unlikely that the Loomis Gilbrand bill or any comprehensive legislation on crypto will pass Congress this year. So, is the market overreacting? Personally, I think so. We do have a lot of these events, the headlines or regulations, China is banning crypto and stuff. We always see these huge dump, but then crypto came back stronger, right? But people, if you look at the document in detail, in the long term it's good, but in the short term there's a lot of pain, which I'm going to share shortly. But I do think that we are overreacting a little bit because it's not going to be passed this year, right? Why aren't we seeing this? It's not going to be passed this year. In the short term, it's still, party and stuff like that, right? So I don't think we should be overreacting, right? But it is interesting to read this and to read other people's opinion on this, right? So basically, what do people think about this, okay? So Adam Cochran, a influencer and trader and stuff like that, he has a lot of interesting insight. This is definitely a thread that I would recommend you to read. So he did talk about, in the future, DAOs will be registered as entities in the US. Don't count as disregarded entities. If not registered in the US views it as personally taxable, right? So it means that in the future, DAOs might be taxed, even though it might not be created in the US, right? Requires all exchanges and stablecoin providers to be registered entities, right? And clear language for DeFi. So basically, it means that regulation is coming, right? All of these exchanges regulation. And talking about exchanges regulation, to keep you here and not to leave, SEC is looking into Binance, right? Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you about this. And another Reuters investigation. It seems that everyone is coming up against Binance in the short period of time, which I'm gonna talk about shortly, right? A lot of influencers probably won't talk about it, but anyways, I want to go through this. New disclosure requirement will make Anon 1 project almost impossible to comply under the law. So if your team is anonymous, right, and if you are under US jurisdiction, it means that you may not be able to be anonymous, right? You have to comply with the law. So anything that trades one digital asset meets the burden of being a digital asset exchange. So what is digital asset, right? Can it be, NFTs? NFTs are digital collectibles. Is that it? Is it crypto, right? So exchange oversight is going through the roof, huge increase in compliance costs. So basically it's saying that you have to pay more fees in exchanges because they have to comply with regulations. And then they would have a bankruptcy definition changes, a win for user. So it is not all bad, basically making it clear that asset deposit will get returned to the users and not liquidated. So if an exchange files for bankruptcy, right, like the one that Coinbase said, right, in one of the terms, no longer they would liquidate all the asset, right? They need to pay you back, the asset deposited, right? So fees offsetting rules means exchange will have to pay government from fees, likely putting costs up. So requirement to agree the terms of service based on source code version. Okay, extend powers to a lot of regulators to investigate and advise on additional regulations in new area, which I talked about, the committee and stuff like that. Give the depository institution the right to issue stablecoin, which is good. Gives clear compliance requirement and penalties, right? And also will seek to unify some of the money transmission laws, blah, blah. Okay, cool. A lot of good to make sure that crypto is allowed in the US. So crypto is not banned in the US. It's just being regulated, but it's going to be heavily regulated, right? So it aims to regulate it strictly or even more strict than banks and even current financial service providers. Not a lot of room for DeFi and none from anonymous or non-registered DAOs, right? So if you're in DAOs, it might be time to reevaluate, right? It's not about how your DAO brands itself, right? For me, it's not how your DAO brands itself as a community DAO, a club DAO, or whatever. We're not investment DAO, we're not operating in the US, right? It's not how they see it. But it is more about how regulators see it and whether they would use this upcoming bill once it's passed, not in this year, to do something back to your DAO, right? Or to ask them to pay taxes or comply a lot of regulations and stuff like that. So that is the point where you have to be careful in the future because of this regulation, right? For example, if a DAO say, oh, we don't operate in the US, but if they host a lot of events in the US, does that mean they have significant US exposure and they should be registered and they should be paying tax in the US, right? It makes sense, right? So it really depends. So right now, everything is still very blurry and stuff like that. But in the end, if this bill does get passed, if we see a final version of that, I do think that DAOs, it's very hard for them to have this decentralized structure in a sense that they must operate somewhere, right? And if the US regulatory authorities decide to come out against these DAOs, there is a risk, right? So basically this is a draft bill and then it talked about, oh, this is the first form, is there's still a lot to be edited and stuff like that. And then people are talking about the DAO part, the requirement registrations for the tax benefit, right? And without it, you'll be an unincorporated association, but there are other ways to not have the tax flow through. Want to make sure it's clear it's not a ban of DAO. So what he's saying is that it's not a ban of DAO. Yes, I didn't say it was a ban of DAOs, but it is about how regulatory we see, regulatory organizations to see the DAO and ask you to comply. Right now, it's not talking about banning the DAO, but what if there's more new regulations once they put DAOs in a framework? Once you have to register in the US, once you have to incorporate in the US because you operate a DAO, it would make them more easier to use these regulatory frameworks and terms to limit your DAO, right? So this is what I think. Eight Father, so basically he's also a Twitter influencer, so he talked about his idea in the near term. The more positive news is about the ETH POS merger, so ETH 2.0. So basically now he's trying to talk about a conspiracy theory, right? He's saying that, okay, create a doom and gloom, so ETH dumps, right? And then regulations, people can buy ETH, right? Smart money, buy ETH at a lower price, it pumps ETH 2.0, and then you make money, right? Fed funds ETH and Bitcoin hoping to buy ETH lower. Fed now pump ETH power to the merger and get richer. You get broke trading on the fear tactics, right? Or Feds are actually just morons, right? So if the bill becomes good for crypto as a whole, one party will campaign at the midterms on the resave crypto innovation ideology is all just theater, right? So basically the reason why I shared this with you is that don't fear, okay? First of all, the first fundamental, US is not banning crypto. Okay, in the long term, consumer protection is good, but whether it could be really implemented is a second thing, because a lot of things are decentralized. You can't help every consumer that gets a MetaMask support, right? So in the long term, I do think the market overreacted a little bit. I mean, we still have a year to go, right? It's still a year of partying and dancing, and within this year, we still have the ETH 2.0 merge. We have a lot of bullish news for different cryptocurrency. So is this a good time to dollar cost average? Well, none of this is financial advice. I don't know. Personally, I DCA'd a bit, right? But I DCA'd because I think this sideways movement is just too good to trade, right? But of course, I only invested in what I can lose, right? Because look at the sideways movement. Buy here, sell here. Even what you can do is draw two lines, right? Like, you're not an expert. What you can do is just draw two lines. Just when it breaks a line, you buy. If it goes up, you sell. When it almost goes up, buy. And you can make a lot of money in a bear market, right? So anyways, only invest what you can lose. But anyways, yeah, this is the news I want to share about. And all experts have a very interesting analytics for each slide, right? So he talked about the DAOs, treated as business entities. So pretty much everything we said. But I think the most interesting thing is, and I don't understand why, but orange juice gang, right? So basically, the article talked about orange juice. But this is definitely worthwhile reading. I would like you to, if you're interested to do more research, read this, okay? I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but read this, right? So, OX Beans, right? So, he likes orange juice, right? So, he was a previous Coinbase engineer, according to his bio, if you believe him. So, yeah, I think this is interesting. If you are trading in this space, definitely watch this, read this article, try to understand it, and they did really talk about frozen concentrated orange juice. So if you like frozen or concentrated orange juice, please share it on Twitter that you are part of the frozen concentrated orange juice gang. But anyways, jokes aside, another very interesting news today is that there was this guy called a Dying Nobody, and he did post a tweet, right? So he posted a tweet with 6,700. So the US is waking up, right? A lot of people will be tweeting this, and the numbers are going up. And the reason, so basically, too long did not read. What did he do? Is that basically he's a guy, he found a flaw in Telegram, okay? So he was able to spy on a lot of people's conversations, and these conversations are actually NFT influencers, project founders, a lot of different people involved in the crypto and the NFT space, right? So he downloaded all of these data, all of these private chats, all of these group chats about how they're, spamming people and stuff like that, right? So what is he gonna do is that in June the 15th, he will publish excerpt from crypto influencers ranging from as little as 800 followers to as much as 1 million followers. So basically, I think this is like shielding certain projects, maybe crypto influencers promising certain projects, shield a web project, discussions about racism and blah blah. High amount of Twitter following discussing what blue project intended to scam the community and individuals, killing people. So it's a lot of behind the scene, very darkish stuff that he's gonna publish on June the 15th. And on June the 30th, he's gonna publish other stuff, right, about other projects and also stuff like that. Interesting thing is that he has a zip file, right? So basically, you download a zip file with 137.21 gigabyte. And then what happens is that it will be password protected, but on June 15th, 30th, 7, all of the password will be available through a signed transaction to the following address. And the reason why he's doing this is that he has maybe a terminal disease or sickness, so that he's he might pass away very soon, but he wants to get this out of his system, like let people know. But at the same time, some people are saying that this is impossible. Don't fall into cheap side art, guys. Such exploits are impossible due to Telegram's infrastructure, so nothing to add here. Maybe Signal again flooding Telegram. Okay, so we'll have to see. But all I can say is that June is gonna be a very eventful eventful month for NFT projects, for crypto projects, right? If these big accounts were part of this leak, right? So keep your eye on this, right? Don't fake this, right? Don't forget about this. If for some reason in June, the middle of June, certain project dumps to zero, right? Like it's not spreading FUD, right? It could happen if there is some concrete evidence in this leak. So definitely check this out. So moving to our next news, SEC target Binance BNB ICO for potential violations report. So basically, the SEC is now looking into the BNB ICO initial coin offering to see if they have, done anything that is, illegal or whatever, does not comply with the compliance, right? So basically, at the same time, interestingly, Reuters came out with an article June the 6th, right, just yesterday. How crypto giant Binance became a hub for hackers, fraudsters, and drug traffickers, right? So basically, it talks about how hackers were moving monies in Binance. Binance had no idea who was moving money through the exchange. So that they had a investigation. So but Binance didn't really share more. Declined to comment. So basically, they're saying that Binance kind of help a lot of darknet money to wash the money and then to extract the money, right? So this is also an interesting report that I don't want to go through in detail, but all I can say, like, I won't say it's a coordinated attack, but things are too, it's weird to have two same article against Binance in one single day, right? The media is doing this, like, not the media is doing it. It's just weird to see this, right? But definitely, for me, I have a vested interest. I have a Binance account, and definitely I would look into this and see what it is about, whether it will affect you, right? So definitely important to see. Another interesting news: Epic Games CEO. So I caught about Epic Games, listing a game from Gala Games. But the Epic Games CEO bashes crypto exchanges over fake Fortnite. So basically, he was bashing the PancakeSwap, which is a DeFi exchange, for having a Fortnite token, right? Where a community member created a token named Fortnite token, and then he called it a scam, or scam. So basically, just to share this with you, they took a shot at decentralized exchange like PancakeSwap by enabling trading of the unauthorized token. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you as a brand, you don't want your IP to be used to promote something that has nothing to do with your company, especially if money is involved, right? So this is another interesting news. Solana developers tackle bugs hoping to prevent further outages. So as we all know, the Solana blockchain has crashed a few times. So it seems like last time the crash was done by a durable non-transaction feature. So basically now they're trying to fix the bug. So hopefully the Solana chain no longer crash, right? But for those of you who are watching, if you're involved in the Solana chain, don't forget Solana is in beta, right? If you have a lot of money involved, I mean, one day, the chain can crash, right? So, only investor you can lose, right? Simply put. If you make money on the side with such a volatile market, with everyone being so pessimistic, it is important to at times take profit and be safe, right? So let's look at the US market. Yep, US market as we expected. Pre-market was red, so now it's kind of all red, right? So we'll see stop loss after target's profit warning, down drops over 250 points. So basically more chances to buy your crypto cheaper. You see this, right? But still, crypto is holding pretty strong, right? It is sideways. You're not dumping all the way here, but it might happen. We never know, right? So that's it for today, guys. Trade safe. A lot of regulatory stuff. Interesting reading. All the tweets will be posted below. Definitely encourage you to read it yourself. This is your host, Non-Fungible signing out.